What's up, everybody? Welcome back to an extension of episode 7. This is a March Madness, March Goodness edition. Us at Not For Long Media and our friends at Opinions on Pickens put our minds together, put our podcast together, and we're raising money to the winner's charity of choice. We have a winner. We have a lot to talk about March Goodness, a lot to talk about in March Madness. But before we get into that, Justin, how you doing?
I'm good, man. It's great to be back on here. We had our episode on Monday, and now we get to break down the greatest tournament in all of sports after it's already happened. So that kind of makes a little bit more sense.
No doubt. And I want to shout out our sponsors, Wealth Advisory Services. I'm rocking the hat. Thanks, Paul, for the hat. The original Fudge Kitchen Fudge, the best, ships across the country. So we're giving a ton of fudge away. We're giving Amazon gift cards away, courtesy of our sponsors. And the latest stuff that we're doing on social media is $100 Amazon gift card for anybody that just guesses the two teams in the World Series and the winner. So if you guess the two teams and the winner, you're going to win it. But if you get 50% of it, you're probably going to win a $100 gift card to Amazon too. So hop on our social media page and then tag your friends, bring people to the page. We appreciate everyone's support. And again, $100 gift card to Amazon if you get it. And for me, like, Justin's getting me more into baseball. Justin's a big time baseball fan. So I'm watching MLB Network now so we can talk about it on here a little bit. I can keep up whatever Justin's doing on his podcast and his stuff because I'm not into baseball like I am into hockey, but I'm going to start getting there. My Phillies are with a big win today. I think they're 5-1, red hot. And the Mets and the Braves are solid team, solid club. So yeah, exciting stuff. So yeah, a lot to talk about. March Goodness though. March Madness. I think Justin wants to touch on some of that. I'm going to eat some fudge while you're talking though.
Sounds good. Yeah. So of course, Saturday night was the big UCLA Gonzaga game. Is it Gonzaga or Gonzaga? I never know how to pronounce it.
I don't know.
Yeah, Gonzaga, but it was the crazy shot by Jalen Suggs to win it. Bank shot, deep three. It was Steph Curry, Damian Lillard-esque. That, of course, sent Gonzaga to the tournament where most people thought they were going to end up to the championship round. The championship game was on Monday night, and it wasn't great. It was not a great game of basketball if you're a basketball fan. Colin was coming back from a Phillies game, so we only had a chance to listen to it on the radio. I unfortunately had to watch it on TV like a lot of you probably did. And Baylor Bears, 2021 NCAA men's national champions. They won 86-70, and that score makes it sound a little bit more close than it actually was. So Colin, you listened to it. You probably saw some highlights. You probably simpatico on that with me, right?
Yeah. Well, first of all, thanks for stalling enough so I can finish the fudge and we actually can do some decent radio, YouTube. Maybe that sounds horrible. I try to lean back from the mic, so I appreciate that. Secondly, I guess we'll touch on Saturday night first. That was, I don't know. People say the best game of all time. Probably is one of them. Back and forth chaos with two teams, or one team that we knew was going to be there and one team that had no business being there in UCLA. So what an event. Star power everywhere. NBA stars to be everywhere. I can't wait to follow them. Everyone's going to be following them in the league now. You're going to know where they were, the shot, what they were doing, because it was that entertaining. It really was. March Madness was just killer as always. It really was.
Yeah, all the upsets, all the storylines. But Baylor, like this team, a lot of people, thought they would get to the championship game, but everybody thought Gonzaga would just roll them. All the star power Gonzaga has on their team. Drew Timme with the mustache. I don't know if you caught him.
I've caught him do it many times, and people hate on him, but I love it because he's still a baller. Like it's not like it's distracting him from his game.
He did do the mustache thing when he was down, or when they were down by 15 though, and he it was like every shot. It's like, all right, you can do it once. We'll give you like one or two good ones after like a dunk or something, but it was like a layup to go down instead of 17-15. It was bad.
Well, as a Caps fan, does Ovi celebrate if he scores and the Caps are down 4-1?
No, he's the consummate professional. No, the new head coach is your former head coach. We probably distill a little bit of toughness and grit. We don't do a lot of that stuff.
How do you like Peter Laviolette?
I like him. He's no nonsense. We just waived a guy. He benches our stars. Like he benched like a second line wing guy, Jacob Vrana. Benched him because they didn't like his hustle. So I think it'll play good for a couple of years, and then after that, they're going to get sick of him.
Okay, good. We did a little hockey talk tonight, so we checked that
Mix
box.
it in.
The Flyers,
multifaceted.
Are just melting like the ice in Florida right now. I mean, it's just sad that the roster can be that good and you're just not good. So They'll be back. Hopefully trade deadline's coming up. We'll track that. We'll talk about that too. Maybe we'll do a show for that, but yeah, so we'll talk about, we'll finish up with the March Madness. Any other comments before we move on from that game? Because it just felt like, I'll say this, it was a lot of bully ball. I saw a tweet too. Everyone's like, Baylor defense and physicality. And then they talked about like the Bucks defense and physicality in the Super Bowl. And then they talked about like all the championship teams that like played good defense and how defensive physicality isn't dead. I don't think it's dead. I just think in football, there's so much firepower and the rules help people score more. In basketball, people are playing farther away from the basket and higher above the rim more than ever. So it's harder to defend, plus fouls. So there's going to be more scoring in every single sport, and that's put fans in the seats, whether people like it or not. I think just people evolving, like legitimately humans evolving, like Joel Embiid last night, working a step back fadeaway shot that Michael Jordan used to take. Michael Jordan was 6'7". So Joel Embiid's 7'2", and he moves like him. It's just wild. So I'm getting off topic, but Baylor just had depth and just strength and speed and team play, and it was on display. It really was. That's a Gonzaga team that could have been one of the better teams in college basketball history if they won that night.
They had a chance to be the first undefeated school since 1976. And I'm a Gonzaga guy, and I don't know why. It's just one of those things where I pick them in the tournament every year. I don't have any ties to the school, the religion, like anything. But I always just pick Gonzaga. And it used to be like the trendy pick because they'd always be like a 10 seed. And it was like, if you're doing an office bracket pool, you're like, oh, I think Gonzaga can make a run. People are like, ooh, college basketball. But now they're like so awesome. And they send guys to the league every year. And it's like, it's become less cool, I guess, to pick them.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just,
they're on national TV now. They're on national TV now. Like before they were just like, you wouldn't see them until the tournament.
Yes.
Yeah.
West Coast Conference.
Yeah. Like if you didn't watch Scott Van Pelt, the greatest, Sports Center show of all time at night, SVP, you would never know, who they were. This was I don't know, maybe 10 years ago now. Mark Few's been doing it for longer than that. But I did finish ahead of you in the March Madness bracket, March Goodness bracket. I finished 9th. You finished 10th. I beat you by 3 points, 3 percentage points. So I have that going for me, which is nice. But if you ain't first, you're last. I do want to touch on that Justin, and that's the March Goodness. What we did, Opinions on Pickens. Shout out to Alyssa and their podcast. They do a fantastic job. We teamed up and we raised money, and I think there was 45 entries. So
yeah,
her and I were going to donate. Each podcast was going to donate $45, right, per entry. Per the bracket, $1 per entry. But what her and I are going to do, we're going to both podcasts are going to donate $100 per podcast. So we're pretty much doubling it up and some. And we said we're going to send the money to the charity of choice, to the winner. And you, the man, Chicago Mike's friend, Steve Mann, Steve Yuta Man is his nickname. So Steve Mann, he came in first. He picked Baylor. He finished in the 98th percentile, and his charity of choice, which I thought was really cool, William Reese Watkins. It's a Clemson Tiger in memory gift that he decided for us to donate the money to. So we're going to be sending $200 to the charity of Steve's choice. Steve, thanks so much. And everyone else, thank you so much for participating. Hopefully next year we got to reach deep into the wells of the Not for Long pockets. Hopefully we can get over 200 people next year to be in it. That'd be great. But old man strength, Fred Dupree, Sydney, my fiance's dad, he came in second. Slosh Queen Sydney came in third. And you know what? If you ain't first, you're last. We don't need to get in the rest of it. But
still top 10 though.
Still top 10. You and I are both still top 10, which is, hey,
hang my hat on that.
Hang your hat on that. So yeah, so that's a little bit of that. The March Goodness is come to an end. Thanks everyone for participating. We have more fun stuff going on too. Giveaways from Fudge Kitchen, stuff from Wealth Advisory Services. So what else we got going on, Justin?
So, the tournament's done. We've had a chance to sit back and reflect. Is there one matchup or is there like one team that you look back and you're like, I should have picked them to go farther. I should have seen that one coming because I have one. And I know you got a big mouthful of fudge. Loyola Chicago. There's this thing called Ken Palm. It's Ken Pomeroy, I think his name. He's the basketball, like he has this like efficiency ranking. They were top 10 in the country in Ken Pom's efficiency, and yet they were an 8th seed. And I picked them to lose first round to Georgia Tech. So in retrospect, I mean, they beat Illinois and they just went on this incredible run, and Oklahoma hired their head coach to be their head coach, which I thought was awesome. Boomer Sooner. So yeah, that was the one that's going to bother me for a while.
Wait, so he left Loyola?
Yeah, he's I forget what his name is, but he's coaching Oklahoma now.
And this is a debate in itself. Like, yes, you have to leave because Oklahoma paid him a ton of money. It changed his family's life. But he's put them on the map. Like, just be careful, I guess. We always want to do it. It's 100% worth it, right? I played for Coach Rule. He went to Baylor. No brainer. Now he's in Carolina. Regardless if things went well there or not, still a great football coach. Shaka Smart, right? Where was he at? VCU?
Shaka was at Texas, I thought.
No, but he was. But before that,
I just know him. I just know him from Texas. We can get the stats department on that. I'll look that up.
I'm gonna look it up right now. Shaka Smart. So he leaves Texas and he takes a job at Marquette. But where was he before?
VCU, and then yeah,
he did really well at VCU. Then he goes to Texas, and I'm not saying that don't leave, but pretty cool thing they have going on there. And it's a shame. It's a shame that he's leaving. I not that I follow basketball, but that's the world we live in. I don't blame him. If I was the coach too, I would go. He's changed his life by going to Oklahoma. And I'm sure he wants to be an NBA coach or a great college coach, and you got to go to the highest levels to do that. But it's just a shame because, like you said, they had a great thing going and some great players. These are not like some team out of a small conference that stole a game or two because of bad seeding. This is like legit wins.
Yeah, Porter Moser's his name. It took me a second to dig that up. I'm actually an Oklahoma fan in general, so this is actually good for me. We'll take anybody's awesome head coach. We're like the New York Yankees of head coaching hires.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the big one. Is there any upsets that looking back, you're like, crap, should have had that one?
I actually did really well on the first weekend, but I just had Illinois and I had some other ones that made runs, like Ohio State and Illinois in my Final Four.
Tough look.
That's a tough look, right? So I'm not like pumping my own tires here. I'm just saying I did well. Like I picked Maryland over UConn. I'm going through it now. I picked UCLA over BYU. I'm trying to see now. I had some good ones picked. I picked Oregon State over Tennessee. I picked Syracuse over San Diego State. Then I picked Syracuse over West Virginia.
I didn't have any of these.
Actually, I didn't have Syracuse over West Virginia. I take that back. I had Rutgers over Clemson.
I had that. Yeah, they were actually favored. Like if we're doing the spread, like they were like a 1.5 favorite in that game.
Yeah, so that's another thing to look deep into. I didn't pick Purdue. Loss hurt me big time.
Yeah.
I picked Wisconsin over NC. I'm trying to think. This makes for great radio, but at least we're on YouTube having fun. Yeah, so I did well in the beginning. Like at one point in time, I said it on here before. NASA George, Caps fan, shout out. He said, dude, our bracket's in the 100th percentile. We're like up at the top. Like, let's go, man. Fire it up. And then I just, of course, everything unraveled. So, hey, it is what it is. We had fun with it. It's really, I hate to say it's the best time of year in sports because I think football season is, but for a bunch of different things, the NBA season's coming down to the wire. NHL trade deadlines here coming down to the wire. March Madness just ended. The Masters are going on. Kentucky Derby comes up in May. What else am I missing? There's a lot. So it really, becomes the best time of the year in the sense that there's a lot going on. The Premier League's coming to an end, which I'm getting myself into and really watching and rooting for Tottenham. So it's been fun.
It has. I mean, but there's nothing better than that opening weekend when you have just game after game. And then the first 2 weekends, I think, of the tournament are probably my favorite of the year. And I don't watch a ton of college basketball. I will watch Maryland every time they're on TV. And a couple other schools that I actually care about. And then it's just like, lock in, tournament, sit on the couch, 12 hours a day, every day. It's amazing. So.
I love it. No, it's good stuff. Well, hey, that does it for our March Goodness fun extension of episode 7 that we're going to call
YouTube exclusive.
YouTube exclusive. Our last YouTube exclusive with Ed Foley. That's our number one viewed show. And Foles is a big Baylor basketball fan as well, too. So they all coach there. So shout out to Baylor. Congrats. And that program, that's awesome. And that does it for another fun little episode of YouTube with This Just In and Colin Thompson. Thanks, guys.